very excited for today's Builders Weekly podcast with your weekly AI nugget. In this podcast, we address AI and builder-related topics founders and startup leaders should be aware of. In this episode, we deep dive into 1 to 2 nuggets, followed by our take on what is hot this week. Today's nuggets: Apple's AI game and insurances for agents. This podcast would not be possible without our partners that make this all happen, so we want to thank the Delta. If you are a founder or operator and looking for an ecosystem to build bold, stop by the campus in Neukölln, Berlin, or check out our website www.thedelta.io. Wynand, I'm spending so much time on LinkedIn now, following all your posts about current AI developments. And there was one that just jumped into my eyes, and that was about you setting up a private server.
Yeah, the weekend project.
The weekend
project, yeah. So I actually challenged myself. I wanted to know if it's possible to actually deploy a local LLM or a local model onto a server that you own. And it is possible. So the main differences between that and, let's say, talking to Claude or to ChatGPT is that you own this model. It's on your infrastructure. You also control what you feed the model, and you control what the model feeds you back. So you're in total control of its environment of that. You're also in control of what data it sends out to the internet, which can be zero. You can have it so it only talks to you. You also have a lot of, I almost want to say, auditability. You can see it, think, and I also just had a little. In order for me to test it, I built like something. Yeah, that's the one you saw on my LinkedIn, was the Wynand GPT, where I just basically build a front end where I can talk basically with this model. So it's really something an experiment in the space where I think I've spoken a few times about being model agnostic and not being tied to a specific player like Claude even though Claude is amazing, having your data still being your own and only using the model to inform it. So yeah, it was quite an interesting experiment. I wouldn't say my build is on the level of Claude Cowork or anything, but it's definitely a model that's pretty smart and that can do things. And I guess also the main difference is you pay per hour now and not for tokens.
Yeah.
Which at a certain level becomes better.
Yes. I mean, this will gonna be very interesting for founders that have enterprise customers.
Yeah.
Especially in Europe, taking data security and GDPR compliance very seriously. It might be a way around the whole idea that your data will be out there and everyone can use it.
Yeah. And also EU AI Act's coming in. The fact that your AI must be able to show its work. It's going to become, and also maybe just ventures or startups want to keep control of their data and their AI.
Yeah, very interesting. Because as we speak, we're setting up the conference set up downstairs at the campus. And the big question on the conference will be, is Europe cooked? So we're going to explore that. There are amazing panels, and definitely one topic will also be around data compliance, AI, EU Act, and how to build the next big unicorns out of Europe and what it needs to get there.
Totally. And also just where this data lives.
Yes.
Does it live in EU servers? Where does this live on American servers? Let's just start there,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And then let's dive right in, because you already talked about agnostic AI models. And then Apple announced that they will use Gemini.
Yeah. I mean, Apple just going and saying, listen, instead of us trying to build our own model, we're just going to use Gemini, which is a big move for Apple to essentially say, I think they're trying to just get ahead in this AI game. I think Apple has been seen as Apple has been seen as the people who provide the chips, and everyone with their Mac minis and everyone, but no one has they haven't really like brought a model forward. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I do know, however, that they have their own Gemini model that they are paying Google $1 billion a year for. So if you want that size model, you will have to pay for it. Yeah.
Will we see more of these cross-company licensing models and deals?
I think we will see. I think we're going to start seeing more of them. I think at a certain stage, certain companies are going to decide, just like, instead of us trying to build the next Gemini or the next Anthropic, let's just plug into them and use whatever they have. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this.
Okay. And what should founders or companies that now start focus on? Because it seems like the infrastructure game is kind of decided among the big tech companies and players. Is that how we should see it? Or is there still opportunity for, let's say, a European or South African version of infrastructure?
Look, I'm always keen to see small players making big impact. So I wouldn't say that we should just hand over the keys to all the big players, but I would definitely not try and build my own model from scratch. I mean, I would say if you do use other models to do something with. I think it's about what you do with them. So yeah.
Okay, but very interesting development. And then I also was reading in your notes something very interesting as agents take more and more action in the real world, right? They're buying, they're booking, they're emailing, they're executing. And now the question comes up, who is responsible for all of their doing? So who is paying for it if something goes wrong? So is it the operator, is it the builder, or is it an insurance company going forward?
There we go. Someone called it's the canary in the coal mine for AI agents, where when insurance companies believe they can price the risk of that. And I think we spoke about this in our first episode, where we were like, who takes ownership of what agents do? And I think it's just going to be treated in the same way as where someone's got a fleet of drivers out there with driving around trucks and things, like the insurance parties can insure for that. And I think that's what's just going to happen. What is happening with the company, I think they're called Mount, is the first company to insure the work of AI agents. If they book a flight at the wrong time or they delete someone's whole production database, there's now an insurance company that's going to cover you for that. And I think the insurance claims on that is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That I would like to see.
So if I'm a founder now and find it very interesting and want to get an insurance policy, what do I do? So I can already in Europe, that's available. So I can go and get my insurance.
I think go to Mount and see what they can offer. I think it's in the European context. I don't know. I know in the US context, Mount is the first one taking this lead.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that's definitely we're definitely going to see InsurTech jumping onto this.
Yeah.
Agents and agents making mistakes. Basically.
Yeah. So definitely an opportunity for future founders out there that are looking for the next idea. InsurTech is maybe something you want to look into.
Yeah.
And then there is another thing that's coming up with the age of AI when you think of product building, right? So we were talking about agents a lot and setting up and orchestrating them. But then there's also the whole way we address and approach building that might change. Now, so you're from your experience, what has changed, especially in teams that need to ship products now?
I think the biggest shift. I think there's a shift in how we build. It's the first one, and I think there's a shift in what we build. I think those are the two: the how and the what. And how we build, and this is something I love taking I just colloquially call it the Anthropic way, where basically product managers and engineers are shipping code, and where engineers are really solving the very complex problems, even though they are having to lean into the product space a little bit more. We are seeing, and that's also the Anthropic way, where engineers do have something they call product taste. And we do see product managers shipping code, running a little bit ahead. And essentially, I see it as like product managers should, instead of speccing an MVP and specifying user stories, they will spend their time building user stories and building and pushing out there that by the time engineers start touching it, there's already something instead of engineers starting from scratch. And I think at the end of the day, I think product managers is going to push code that solves a lot of the problems for moves some of the focus to engineers about solving complex problems.
Yeah.
And not wasting their time on moving that button on that one page somewhere.
100%. And I think one mistake that is now coming up more and more often, because you can build so quickly, and I think classic business people now can also build so quickly the first prototype, the first MVP version of it, is that they often don't take enough time to think, what am I solving for? What am I building? So I think what is important to understand in this next phase of building is that it doesn't replace a moment where you understand your target group, your ICP,
100%.
your pain points, your market. It doesn't take that away, but you might be faster in doing that research with all the tool and all the resources that are out there. But don't overjump, but don't just let it out.
Totally. And I think that's the thing, is that it's that metaphor of you can build the wrong thing at 10 times the speed, right? Where we are seeing I saw some chart today where the increase of apps and SaaS tools have absolutely just shot through the roof, but the market share for it has actually stayed kind of the same, which means that there's so much available now because everyone's pushing code and pushing projects and building something over a weekend, but we're not really seeing the massive uptake and, let's call it, the distribution, the go-to-market, all of those things. So it tells you that the number of tools and things out there are increasing, but the market is not necessarily adopting it so fast as we think. So that's the thing, and I think it's because we're not building what the market needs necessarily. And I think that's just something that you can go down a rabbit hole quite quickly with AI, and then build something you think the market needs.
Yes.
And I think that's where validation comes back, which is, again, coincidentally, quite a human thing.
Yeah.
Quite a human exercise.
Human interactions,
Human interactions.
Coming back to the space where you actually can have these human interactions, which will not go away anytime soon. It will be very important and essential, especially for early stage founders, to not only build and build fast, but then also go out and talk with your clients, talk with the
100%.
customers that you want to have, that should be willing to pay for it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, there are agents now that can do payments, right? But in the end of the day, most of the time, especially in enterprise sales, it is a person on the other side taking this decision.
Yeah, and I think the way people are using apps are changing.
Yes.
And we can even see that with this thing that Apple has now done with Apple will now have an AI agent running inside of the messaging app, which means is that I can now have an agent running inside my Apple iMessage, and it can pull data from my Strava, it can pull data from my weather app, it can book flights, all of that, which then kind of begs the question, and this is again understanding your market, is should my app even have a front end?
Yes.
If my app is going to be purely Apple's iMessage talking to my app and my app sending data back, how should an app even look and react, and what is the value prop? I always say that if there's no front end, what is your value prop? Because I think a lot of startups, or not startups, but ventures want to build something that's a wrapper of something else. But if it's a wrapper and you have an AI that just queries the actual bedrock data, then that wrapper fails to exist. So, and I think that comes back to what is it the user needs, and are you building for that, and are you solving for that?
Yes. So sometimes we should treat the first build that goes super fast really as the prototype and like a first build that you use to validate and to try out.
Yeah.
And then you might need to have a cleanup team
100%.
Go through the code, build robustness, build infrastructure, and so on. And that also doesn't go away, as far as I see, at least not in the next
100%.
period of time.
And I think that is something where, and that's also something coming back to this insurance of the agents and everything, where we see a lot of investment. I think Asana and Stack AI combined now, and they are essentially literally building, they're building infrastructure purely for the reliability of engineering teams to build auditable, recoverable, and safe production workflows for agents.
Yeah.
So you can see these big players are trying to build in robustness and security and reliability into these agents that a few months ago was just like a free-for-all.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is in the end of the day also what the big enterprise customers, especially in Europe, also demand.
Yeah.
They demand like an infrastructure that is robust, that is safe, that is compliant with GDPR.
Absolutely.
And so on.
Yeah. And if you think about it, these gaps that are now that need to be filled, reliability, governance, security, those things, it's the same gaps that we had to fill when we all went to cloud, the cloud security, right? It's the same things.
Yeah.
So sure, in the beginning, everyone was going into this agentic, and everyone's building agents, and the kid in the garage next door is now building agents. But at the end of the day, at enterprise level, you do need agents that are reliable, robust, and secure.
Do 2-week sprints still exist?
No. A lot of people are going to kill me for that. Or I think if we might walk out of this podcast now, and I must just. But in my head, I think the sprint velocity is just, or shipping features and velocity. I think it's just a way faster, and I think the sprint fashion will totally change. How that will look remains to be seen. We will see what works best, but I think that it's definitely going to become something that's got a higher velocity. Yeah,
and we're working very closely with clients, so we're testing out and we are learning every day. And I think in the next weeks we can definitely report back on how it's going.
We can.
What needs to change.
Yeah.
What is hot this week?
Hot this week is the week coming. I'm going to be speaking of context and all of these things and enterprise things.
Your webinar is coming up. That's true.
Yeah, and we're also going to have the company brain masterclass on campus.
Oh, that's on campus.
It's on campus this time. It's not online. It's on campus. It's going to be a masterclass on campus in Berlin, in Neukölln. So please register for that. I think we can include the Luma link on the podcast.
Perfect.
It will also be on my LinkedIn, and check it out there. But there's also some big things happening on your side.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
There is the Bad One conference on Friday until Saturday early morning. We now got also guest lists for a club afterwards, so we have an after party. Be ready.
Is it at Berkheim?
Be ready. I cannot.
You cannot say.
No information. It's all top secret. But Al Gore is gonna do the opening keynote, and the panels are super exciting. Lea Sophie Kramer will be there, which is my absolute highlight.
Even me.
Big fan. And then we're going to have the World Cup viewings coming up with One Football on the rooftop of the Delta. So starting from the 15th until the 15th of July, 1 month, almost every evening, all the games that we can show, we will show on the rooftop, and it's going to be fun.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah. It's going to be, World Cup fever here at the Delta.
And then the Gründerszene event is coming up again, our flagship event with Gründerszene on June 19.
June 19.
And watch out for the Conto the Delta Founders Dinner. We're going to drop the first version end of June. We are going to host the first dinner.
Let's keep. Do I have an invite for that? Or am I not cool enough for that yet? Okay, maybe one day.
We'll see.
One day, holding thumbs.
Right. Closing inspiration. The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it. Michelangelo.